Hi guys, how you doing? So in this video, I'm gonna do it a little different. It is still about backtesting, but this time I'm not gonna record myself backtesting. I did actually backtest this session. Is GBP USD 2023 without recording, and I had a great session with a lot of A+ setups and great results. And I think this is just perfect for a breakdown in which I take my time, and because I notice when I record myself backtesting, I rush the analysis because I want to get on with it. And now the session being over, I can take my time and explain in detail. Okay, so we have the 4-hour on the left side, the M5 on the right side, and let's break down the trades. Most of them were really A-star, almost all of them. So let's get right into it. So the first trade was somewhere in January here in the 4-hour. Okay, so I always use the 4-hour as a higher time frame and the M5 and M15 on the lower time frame. Okay, and I always trade in the same style. It's not completely rigid. It's not just rules that I follow, but certain concepts. Okay, so let's get into the details here. So what I always want to see is old lows or highs on the 4-hour getting swept. Okay, a high time frame liquidity sweep is what I have to see. Okay, and we get this here. We have two old lows here on the 4-hour. Okay, and we sweep these here. Okay, so we also that is an additional confluence that I really like seeing is we fill this fair value gap fully for the first time. Okay, so we close this fair value gap here as an additional confluence. So if you see something like that, followed by a structure shift on the low time frame, the M5 in this case, this makes a solid trade idea, okay? So we can see once, unfortunately I don't have the session boxes on here because I can't, because I had to scroll back so far on the M5, like almost a year of price action. I had to scroll back, so the sessions are not visible here. It's a little unfortunate, but I'm gonna explain it anyway, okay? So don't worry. So basically until 7 is London session. So the London box ends here basically, okay? And what does New York do? New York opens, sweeping London low. This is something that is nice, okay? So we sweep not only the session, but we also re-sweep the sweep that swept this 4-hour structure, okay? So we have 4-hour structure swept. We have fair value gap fully mitigated, okay? We sweep the session and then we break structure aggressively above. And I'm a 2-leg guy, okay? Most of the time I want to see a second price leg confirming direction, okay? So I would never enter on something like here, okay? I want to see my second leg confirming that this is not a trap, okay? So we get a first leg aggressive push out. We close in this supply, basically invalidating it. We come down, supply fails, we come higher, okay? We close above this supply. Then we come down, okay? And we make these rejection wicks here, equals here as well. So this is a nice inducement target. So what I want to see as well is price forming an inducement to basically seduce aggressive buyers in here to then take them out to get the institutional buyers in here that buy for a better price, okay? So this is an inducement low with the little equals. Equal lows are a liquidity pool. So this is nice. So we come up again, we fail again to break higher, which is nice because this gives us a nice entry. So we come down, we sweep this liquidity pool. I actually entered here with a limit order, okay? I could have made even more sure, wait a little longer until I see this rejection candle. If I would have entered here, it would have been even more probable, okay? So we have it all here. We have the high time frame stuff. We have 2 legs closing above. We have a fair value gap here. So you see the momentum, right? We trickle down. And this is something that I also like to see. We trickle down, low momentum. And then boom, switch momentum, okay? Strong up, come down, strong up. Okay, you see how long it takes to trickle down and how quickly it goes up to here. And then we trickle down again, basically confirming that bulls will probably regain control down here, okay? So from these rejections, that would have been an even better entry, but I took it just from a limit, believing that it's gonna work. And what is my target? My target is the inducement high just before the first supply. Look at this supply. Swept an inducement, broke lower, fair value gap, okay? So this is something that price could potentially reverse from, okay? Because you see, this is all without imbalances, or if it has imbalances, they are already closed here, they're already mitigated. So this is all balanced now here. You see that? This supply is mitigated. What does it do? This supply, instead of sending price down aggressively, it only leads to a correction. So this supply is also mitigated. So until my TP, there is nothing there that from our technical point of view can reverse price, okay? This is all balanced. So we come down here and we break higher and just beautiful price action. Bulls remain control. Then we have out of session here a consolidation period, and then pre-Asia, actually before Asia session, finishes the job and mitigates this here. And look, this supply potential reversal area, we mitigated and sell off. Not fully, but led to a retracement. So we had the TP in the right position. Don't worry, I'm not going to go in that much crazy detail in every trade, but just to establish a baseline, I was a little more taking my time here for this first one. Okay, really going into the details. And now from the future trades, from the upcoming trades, you're going to see that it's always the same concepts with other details, with other nuances, but basically the same concepts. Okay, let me just scroll to the next one. This is 2nd of February. And this is what makes all the profitability, okay? Look how many trades I took. This is a whole year of price action. That's like 300 New York sessions. And I only took, again, like 10, 15 trades, I don't know. I think 15, 16 trades. So now we jump straight to 2nd of February. And we have a loss here, so let's analyze it. So here we swept this low, and we also tapped into this fair value gap. So from a high time frame perspective, that made sense. On the low time frame, what did we do? We have to look at the sessions a little bit. Okay, so we have London close. We have here. So we sweep London session, come lower. We are at the low of the day. This is also something that I always want to see. For me, it's mandatory now. We have to be at the low or high of the day. Okay, so we have to have come beyond London and Asia. Okay, so here Asia was somewhere up there, London was here, New York is here, perfect. Okay, New York starts, see, at 8. So New York makes a little bull move, then a super bearish move, tells everybody that we're bearish, then makes a bullish flip. Okay, inviting in all the bulls. We have a first leg, we have a second leg, and I should have, in hindsight, waited for a little more confirmation here, but even if I would have probably entered on this candle. I think I would have taken this trade anyway, just because we have it all, like in the other trade. Sweep of high time frame lows, tap into fair value gap, and I just thought that this is a seller's trap. This supply is a seller's trap, I thought, because the session opened basically right away super bearish, and this is often a trap for sellers. But this time we induced this high, okay, and the sellers regained control from that inducement, and it stopped me out. It is what it is. This will obviously happen sometimes. I think it was a valid trade. This is not ideal, the way that we closed in this fair value gap, but only marginally. If this would have closed higher in there or something, it would have been more valid. This is a little dangerous because it looks like it would induce and then break lower. But then we had the supply, so demand here. So it was not a star because of this, what we did here in the supply, but it was certainly a valid trade, okay, with the whole high time frame picture. So let's get to the next one. So this is 1st of March. So another month, no trade taken, just patience, 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 scrolling through the price action, okay, not doing anything until something clean and in line with the high time frame comes up. Okay, so we're almost here now. So here, okay, so here we sweep this and then we come lower and we fully mitigate here this huge fair value gap here, okay, and we also tap the order block here all the way in the bottom. So this was also a nice trade idea. From the high time frame perspective, let's check out the low time frame. So London low is this. New York opens super bearish. We take out London low. We invite in some buyers, take them all out. Okay. Then we tap into this 4-hour order block here. Okay. And then we get a first leg, mitigation, second leg, break of structure, clean momentum here. Then we come, yeah, on this bullish candle, that was basically my confirmation that we're probably gonna come higher. Okay, so I entered after I saw this bullish candle. So I was basically still waiting what we're gonna do here. If we rip down like crazy, I would have not entered. I would have not taken the quick loss. I wanted to see at least some reaction from that fair value gap, which we had. So I entered. Then we came higher. But ultimately, we see that the bull's struggling to gain control, okay? Because first, we had to overcome this supply here, okay? So if this price action on top here would have all been balanced without imbalances, like this part here, okay? Imagine this being here again. This trade would have been way more valid, because now what we have here is a valid supply, okay? Swept liquidity, sold off. Okay, sold off again. So having an inducement high here, this is a potential reversal area, so this is not ideal. We just have to see how it goes. Okay, so this is something that I forgive, like it's okay to go break even on. Okay, I left it on here just because we were trickling down, no momentum, and we still had a valid demand here, and I was trusting my analysis. This was basically me saying this is a high time frame confluence demand, and this is only a low time frame supply. So I was expecting this to overpower this, okay? But then we induced this, inducement sweep, we come lower, then we just trickle down, we come into this new supply here and sell off again. And then we just didn't find any momentum. So here I was just cutting it super late, gave it a lot of time to play out, but it just didn't look like bulls are in control at all. Especially we tap into this demand, what does it do? Just trickle around. This was a perfectly valid break even, was just not working out, and in the end it would have lost. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of break evens, but you have to also see the low time frame context and see who is in control, and the bears were completely in control there, so it was fine to go break even. Now we have the 8th of March. Okay, let's check this out. It's also super long trade, and this was just going like, yeah, we're gonna go into the details. First we have to see what we swept here. So we swept this old low here. That has to be a crazy weekly structure sweep, like tapping into this supply. So this is also very confluenced, massive liquidity run here, tapping into this order block for the first time, and then having a nice rejection down here. Okay, so let's see how that looks on the low time frame. So let's see again, our London box is somewhere, yeah, London low is here. So we sweep London, okay, then we break higher aggressively, and then we get another close higher. And so we create this demand here that swept again a ton of liquidity, tapping into an old 4-hour demand. So we have the 4-hour, the high time frame on our side here. This trade is not the cleanest, I have to be honest with you. Let's talk about my take profit here. Okay, my take profit was up here because I thought this is the obvious target inducement, massive imbalance above, that is a magnet for price, fair value gap, massive. So this was the real first sign of momentum since the move down here. Okay, so that just made me think we will probably continue higher. And this was one of those trades, I don't know in real life if I could hold that so long, okay? But let's try to read into the details, okay? So we have the push out, I enter here, I see this again, I wait for a confirmation, we tap into the fair value gap, little rejection, little bullish candle, okay, I enter. At least it doesn't melt right through it, you know? This is obviously not the craziest confirmation in the world, but it's at least something. We get a reaction initially from this fair value gap. Then we push out, but we fail to break the high. Then we come lower, we sweep this as inducement. We sweep, okay, we sweep this as inducement, but then we sweep this as inducement. Okay, but then we fail to break lower here. And then ultimately price slowly chops up, okay? Then it comes down again. We fail to break this high, so price is kind of locked right now in a range. Then we sweep a couple of inducements here, and bulls regain control. And this is basically why was I holding that? First of all, its backtesting is a little more easy with the nerves to hold things. And I just really, my motto for this, or mantra, however, was to trust my high time frame analysis. And as long as the low time frame doesn't clearly invalidate my trade idea, which it did in the other trade, I wanted to let it play out. And I really, look, this trade was almost all the time in profit. This is a very good sign, especially when you still have demands before your stop loss. Look, this clean demand here, this is a double low. This can still come just taking out these double lows, and then you have a clean area that is still valid, that still originates from a high time frame sweep, that can still reverse price. So in that case, I didn't go break even, and I trusted my analysis because we still had these potential reversal points for price to go bullish again. Okay, so basically I just held it, and ultimately the bulls regained the control, closing above this supply here. Okay, then coming lower, we sweep this as inducement and ultimately rip to the upside, and then yeah, you see how the momentum kicks in, and we induce this first inducement target here, mitigating this huge fair value gaps and heading towards premium of the range. And you see, as on the high time frame, it was ultimately a complete reversal, but for me this little inducement target was enough. So let's get into the next trade. Okay, so here we go, I found it. So we have on the high time frame, look how clean this is on the high time frame. We sweep all these lows here. Okay, sweep all the lows, and we also tap into this fair value gap at the bottom, just shy of the order block here for the first time. And this was also something that is not perfect. Okay, this was not my proudest trade, and I'm gonna explain you why. Okay, so this is not an A+ trade. This was a little bit opportunistic or courageous. Okay, we have the sweep of London session here, okay, which is nice. And obviously we have the high time frame sweep, fair value gap mitigation, first leg, second leg, okay? What I didn't do at all here is wait for a confirmation. You noticed how I did that all the time on the other trades, right? I was waiting for a little rejection, maybe another bullish candle. And here I just placed a limit into the fair value gap and just went for it. This was very opportunistic, or stupid in other terms, because you see, we have strong supplies here. This supply sweeps inducement, breaks lower. This supply breaks sweeps inducement, breaks lower. So how am I so certain that this new supply here, that was basically still just forming, is not just sweeping an inducement and breaks lower again? This is exactly what happened. Why was I so certain? I was just convinced enough that the high time frame perspective here is strong enough for this to flip bullish and make these supplies traps ultimately for sellers. But I was wrong. I was too courageous. This is too ambiguous. Okay, it's just too ambiguous. You have these strong supplies that all swept and all led to pushes lower, and we have the demands. It's just 50-50. It's not good enough. It's too ambiguous. And I didn't wait for my confirmation. And what did this trade do? Well, it was in drawdown from the first to the last second. Okay, so this is jokes on me. I deserve it. Was too opportunistic, was too ambiguous. And to be honest, we didn't even really break structure, because the structure point for real, it was here. Yes, we flipped order flow, but we didn't break structure. So really not ideal, this trade, but I'm covering all trades. It was, to be fair, I think my only really weak trade in this session. The rest was pretty fine. So now we are here on the 30th of May. We are up here. Let's zoom a little in on the 4 hour. So yeah, we can't say that we sweep this because we closed above, okay? But we tapped into this order block here for the first time. And while I admit that this is not ideal because the order block is very big, like where is it gonna reverse from? From here, or does it come higher into the wick? I don't like these big wicks too much, but the low time frame here was just so clean that I just wanted it anyway, okay? So you always have to balance. When the high time frame is extremely clean, the low time frame can be okay, you know? But when the high time frame is not perfectly clean and only okay, the low time frame has to be perfectly clean. At least one of them, okay? Ideally, obviously both, But for me, this was high time frame. Confluence was there. It was not ideal, but it was an order block of the 4-hour, and it was a rejection on the 4-hour. So it was not completely random, let's say, on the high time frame. Not A star, didn't sweep anything really, but mitigated an order block. So okay. The low time frame though, very clean. Okay, low time frame. Let's get. Unfortunately, we don't have the session boxes. So London high is here. What do? We sweep London high. We re-sweep this. We are basically opening the session super bullish, which is always a bearish sign. And after we sweep London twice, we get a nice shift of order flow here. Okay, so we get a first leg, super clean fair value gap here. Second leg, fair value gap. Third leg, fair value gap. Okay, so bears are taking control here. And look at this. This is a detail that matters. We put exact equals in here. Exact equals. Okay, so for me, and look, this is all balanced. Okay, and this was just, for me, it was making sense that we come at least to the premium discount center line of this whole leg. Okay, what was that? What was that? I have to scroll back months now. Wait, this is... No, it's still there. What is that? Is this still the same universe? There it is. What the fuck was that? Okay, never mind. Right? What is that? No idea what just happened. Okay. So where was I? Yeah, I just expected a retracement into the premium discount center line here, and I just thought this is probably gonna sell off from the combination of all confluences. So this equals here. This was making me lick my lips, you know. Also, I didn't wait for confirmation here again, so I was ballsy here. I was confident. I could have waited for this to get mitigated and then wait for this to happen. Okay, we have a new fair value gap here, or even for this candle. If I want to be really patient, okay, I can wait for this candle here. Look how we clearly fail, how bulls really clearly fail to break this high. Okay, we come lower again. This would have been a nice candle to enter from. This was a little more risky, but I was just believing in it because of the equals. So this was a limit entry, believing in this equals to get spanked and all this balanced price action to get spanked. And if we then reverse hard after we take this inducement, I can still go break even and pussy out. Okay, so I like this. Like when I trade into big imbalances, I want to at least have a buffer, so to speak, of balanced price action, so that if we sweep this and if we reverse completely, man, then I can still go break even and pussy out. Okay, so that's why I was trading confidently into these fair value gaps. And what did we do ultimately after this confirmation? We break lower, and this is something where you don't have to panic. Okay, it comes back to the entry, but there's no reason to panic. This is just a supply mitigation. Okay, where are we coming from? Completely balanced. Price is normally not completely reversing against you from here. So here, please don't go break even. This is still perfectly valid. We sell off again, and then we trickle down to take profit. So beautiful stuff. High time frame was okay. Low time frame, textbook A star, man. Like had everything that equals the 3 legs, the fair value gaps, the momentum switch, everything. So yeah. Next one was on 6th of June. So that is here. 6th of June. 4th of June. Sorry, 13th of June. Okay, here. So let's see what we did here. We swept this high. Okay, let's see if we did anything more to the left. We swept this high, and that's about it. Yeah, it's not really correlating to something special that is going on here to the left. So it basically was just a sweep of the previous high, weekly high, I guess. No, just of the previous day's high. Okay, so what do? We have a new... Is that news? Yeah, that is news. So that was actually a little bit of a mistake by me. I didn't notice that until now. So 8:30 is obviously news. This is a news candle. And we don't really re-sweep the news high. So what I would normally want to see and what I normally wait for with news trades, and I was really not aware that this was a news candle, is I wait for the high to put in. Okay, and then I want to see a re-sweep because this is a liquidity pool. It's news, high liquidity, okay? Normally I wait for this to get taken out, but this time, yeah, this was my second really bad trade in this session. I just didn't pay attention that this was news. I just saw, okay, we sweep this, and then we have a first leg that is choppy, to be fair. Then we come lower, and we mitigate this demand, okay? So I'm gonna analyze it anyway, just for my thought process to be transparent, okay? So we mitigate this demand. Demand pushes price up again into the supply that is now created. We have a ton of rejections here, and you see me entering a little later here. I wait for this bear candle and then I enter, because I saw this as confirmation. We are rejecting here, we keep rejecting, then we fail to break and come higher again. And then we take out the news liquidity, which I should have seen, really. That was a beginner mistake. Not a beginner mistake, but it shouldn't happen to me anymore at this point. So that was just, I was rushing it a little bit. So if this here would have come higher and reswept that, I would have told you that this was a valid loss. But because it didn't, it left the news liquidity on the table, I have to tell you, it was a shit loss. It was a stupid business expense. So now we have the 4th of July. Of July. Wait, I have to check something on the other trade, just real quick. Did we even break structure? Yes, we did break structure with the second leg. Okay, I was stupid, but at least we broke structure. So let's go to the 4th. We have to zoom through this. 4th, almost here. Okay. This looks strange because I went break even on it, I think, at some point here. Beautiful, beautiful. Look at this. We have this high and this high. We sweep it. And we also mitigate this top tiny little fair value gap. On the 4 hour, tiny fair value gaps matter, okay? I don't think on the low time frame they should be given too much value, but these tiny fair value gaps on the 4 hour, I see them work out a lot. So pay attention to detail. We tap into this fair value gap here, just barely, sweeping all these highs. So this was valid potential reversal territory, okay? So what do? London closes at its high. We keep pushing up. Look how balanced this all is. This is begging the market to reverse. This balanced low momentum chop up, okay? Then we have one final push. Okay, this is probably, yeah, you see the line here and you see it on the left side of the screen, right? You see that. How this strong push, you see it on the left side of the screen on the 4 hour. This strong push was the 4 hour sweep. This was the tap into the fair value gap. What does price do? Instantly reverses, okay? Gives us one leg, second leg, okay? So now we have established bearish order flow. And I admit that this does not look too clean on the low time frame, but seeing this trend line forming and seeing how balanced everything is, okay? I was confident this is gonna work. The whole high time frame picture, it's just something that makes me confident in low time frame shifts, okay? So what did we do? We came up. If I wanted to wait for more confirmation, I could have waited a little longer with the execution, but I basically saw this rejecting and then I wanted to be in. So I basically market executed here, okay? We come up, fail to break the high and create nice bearish order flow. And I just left it on. I just went break even on it. Not sure why, to be honest. I was being a pussy because this is still a valid supply here. Could have been easily, could have tapped my entry and then won, and I would have looked like an idiot. I don't think there was the necessity to go break even, so that's on me, but ultimately we just kept the bearish order flow. Did a couple of inducements here. This was the ultimate inducement. Look, this is Asia. This is a typical market play, really. Just mitigations, bears in control. So this is Asia box here. Imagine Asia starting here, Asia closing here, no, here. So we have Asia high here. We sweep Asia high, sell off. Okay, then we come back into, we sweep this as inducement, which sparks a retracement, tap into the supply and sell off again. My target here, sorry, I sometimes forget to talk about my TP. I need to work on that, I'm sorry. So you see that it's all balanced here except this little demand here. It's all balanced, and I was thinking this low time frame demand is gonna be, or this as an inducement is a valid target, this all being balanced. So this was my target. What does price do? This is always cool to see. Taps into the demand that you thought could spark a retracement, and what does it do? Full blown reverse. So that's cool. Yeah. So this was very nice on the low and the high time frame, just beautiful stuff. Here with the mitigation sweeps, here first leg, second leg, had it all. Was very nice with the trend line, everything super nice. So now we have the 6th, just right after, 2 days later. This was also, I believe, very clean. Yeah, look at this, man. Look at how we sweep this, okay? We sweep this high. This is probably a weekly structure high or something, or a daily structure high. Look how it stands out. You can spot this high so easily. It's a proper structural high, you know. We sweep this and I have a massive rejection right after. So let's zoom into the low time frame a little bit more. Okay, so let's see, London closes. Okay, London actually closes here. So we have this is London high, okay? And all London was bullish as hell, okay? Leading to that sweep. What do? We chop a little. London, New York open chops. Then we sweep this, getting all the London traders, sellers stopped out. And then we have a massive push down. What do? Create a second leg clean, okay? And then the way we come up here, this is also a little bit more nuanced, that entry, okay? I wait for this to get mitigated. I don't just put a limit. Because this is all possible demands here. You know, this can long. So I wanted to see, ideally what I was waiting for is price to come here and make a fat rejection, like a fat rejection. But what ultimately happened is we come, make these equals here, come higher and instantly reject here. Okay, so this candle, sweeping this inducement barely, was enough for me to think, nah man, this is fine, you know, with the high time frame. I think we're gonna come lower here. And then I just market executed and it absolutely ripped to the downside right away. I took Asia low here as the target and we just ripped for a new daily low, which was beautiful. So we swept all these. Look, this is also a 4-hour trend line. We absolutely rip through this trend line here. You see that here, right? We rip through it and then completely reverse again, which is kind of cool. I always love that, to be honest. When a price hits my take profit and then reverses, it makes me even more like, yes, I was right, like with the TP positioning, you know. So let's get into the next one. This is the 17th of July. So we have to zoom a little through here, 17th. So this was a break-even trade as well. This looks so shitty. Okay. This was... Okay. This was... this is probably what I've seen here. So this here on the 4-hour doesn't look like anything, to be honest. It's just, yeah, the 4-hour really, I didn't use it too much here. But what I did is use this supply. demand. This demand swept, led to a huge push out, okay? So when we mitigated this and then swept it and then reswept it, let's look at the details here, okay? Let's look at the time factor here as well. So this is London low. Yeah, this is London low, okay? London low is here. We sweep it, okay? Then we make a bullish break of structure. Tiny little fair value gap here, okay? We make a second leg. So now all the bulls are invited here to buy, okay? Classic early New York trap. We open New York with a huge bear impulse. Then we give a nice bull impulse. Then we stop all the bulls out, and guess what the market does next? Stops all the bears out. It's just early New York price action is just full of traps. Both sides get trapped, and then the real move happens. And that's what happened here. We open bearish. All bears get stopped out ultimately here later on. But first we stop out all the bulls before we see the actual bull move, because we did this 2 legs, get stopped out, okay? So we have this huge push out here, closing above. Okay, then we see this here, inducement is formed. We still have a huge, massive, very valid inducement sweeping ultimately into this extreme order block here, tapping. This is probably an 1 hour order block. I just can't change time frames here now because it's gonna jump all over the place with the to another date. So this was probably a 1 hour analysis with the high time frame. And you see how clean this demand is, how it swept and then pushed higher. So this made a lot of sense on the high time frame, probably on the 1 hour. And then we have this huge push out. We sweep the inducement, and I just market executed here because I was so confident on it. Then it was just going absolutely nowhere. And this is, yeah, I held it, and I think I only went break even around here. When I was close to TP, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna lose this anymore. So I just went break even as a precaution. And yeah, maybe I should have closed it here, seeing that bears are gaining control. But it's hindsight, right? It just completely reversed on me just before my take profit. My take profit was this inducement high here that itself swept. So this was also not an ideal target. Look, this is a strong supply because it swept an inducement, mitigated a supply, led to a push down, okay? Led to more bearish price action. So this was actually a strong bearish order block. I should have put my target here to the inducement or even here so that the price can come back to the extreme to then sell off again, but I'm already out of the trade. So that was a little bit of a risky TP. Obviously, you can argue that this is still an unmitigated supply and price could have easily sweep this as an inducement and then sell off. And yeah, I would say that this looks all mitigated here. So yeah, I think I have to forgive myself that. I was just basically thinking that it induces this and then sells off. Unfortunately, it only induced this tapping into this and sell off from here. So I was one little structure point too ambiguous with my target, and it cost me all my profits. It is what it is. Part of the game, all good, was a valid trade. You see how we had the momentum shift, right? And how we trickle down versus coming up. So this was all confluenced. I love all the resweep. This was all when both sides are trapped and then you see a strong move, that is when you want to enter a trade, especially when it's so confluenced with the high time frame supply here. Look at this. Look at this extreme order block here, how it gets tapped. Perfect buyer's trap, resweep, strong push out. This is so clean on the high time frame. I love it. Really, I just love it. Next one. So we have on the 4 hour, let's scroll first, okay? So 15th of August. 15th of August. My stop loss was here and not here. This is wrongly displayed. This is bullshit. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so we have this inducement high here, and we have a nice 4 hour order block here that swept a ton of liquidity and then led to a sell-off. Okay, ultimately taking out this high, low, taking out this low. So this is a super valid 4-hour order block. What do? We sweep the inducement, tapping for the first time into this order block, and then have a massive rejection, okay, on the 4-hour. So what we can see on the low time frame is, let's see, this was relatively late, the setup. So this was London high, okay? This was London high. So we open New York here, put some nice equals here. So we have a first push down, putting equals in here. Basically inviting us for potential sells later on, okay? Then we have a huge bull move inviting in all the buyers, okay? And you know how we want to see both sides getting trapped. First, the sellers get trapped here. London high, potentially being strong. It's not. Sweep, okay? Sellers are trapped. When are the buyers trapped? The buyers are trapped when we take out these equals. This is equal low, so we would never look to buy from here because it's liquidity right below our stop loss. So we know that this is possibly a buyer's trap, especially look how we come up. This is not bull control. This is corrective as hell, making a trend line here, all low resistance liquidity here. And what do we do on the high time frame? Low time frame ultimately come up here. We ended the job with a clear shift to the downside, massive fair value gap, and normally I wait for my second leg, and here I didn't, just because the low time frame was okay for me to not have a second leg, basically, because look how balanced it is. Look how there's no momentum. Look how the momentum suddenly is fully bearish. And I was waiting for confirmation. I just didn't enter here right away. I didn't wait. I didn't put a limit over this inducement that formed here initially. I was waiting. Look, we even put a little bit of equals in here. These little details matters. This makes the trade just that slightly bit more likely, this little equals here. So I was waiting. I was, okay, let's see if I need a second leg on this or not. Then we were coming up, okay. We closed here, which is not a good sign, but then we had this engulfing bearish candle, okay. This to me just looked like, okay, next candle is probably gonna close like this because this looked so bearish. And I just market executed. It didn't close down here, took a couple candles more, but ultimately the bears did stay in control, okay. We just had a mitigation on top here and then sold off. And because this was a demand, okay, even though we put some relative equals here, we did also sweep a lot of lows. So I had a little bit of a respect for that demand, especially also because we have an inducement here and we have a little fair value gap here. So I did respect the demand. And what I did was simply, I was like over 2R in profits here. Remember, my stop loss is here. It's just drawn wrongly here. So over 2R, I was like up 2.4 or something. I just dragged my stop loss to 2R and it stopped me out here. And yeah. And it would have fully reversed again. So I had the right... this is just these nuances, right? It's just... Obviously, it also needs a little bit of luck, but just me being aware of this supply is just experience. You know, of course, you can say this is low resistance liquidity, basically equal lows here, but it also swept some lows and it created the demand. And I was just having respect. I was like, why would I give back 2R if this demand can potentially work? So I was just taking my profits here and it was the right choice. Then just a couple days after, we have this trade. So here we sweep this once more, tapping more into the extreme of this order block, okay? And we get another nice rejection. So let's tap into the details here, okay? And this is coming back to what I said before in a minute, okay? But let's start here. We have London high here, and we just sweep it right away because we stay bullish. And then we have news here, 8:30 news. News pushes down, makes a bottom wick. News pushes up, makes a top wick. And this time I did wait for my news resweep, and this is a nice additional confluence. You see also we have the 4-hour candle closes here. Then we resweep the 4-hour candles high and the news liquidity high, and then we see the sell-off move. That is nice. That is so nice. all the news liquidity taken, high time frame order block, high time frame high swept here, re-sweep of the news liquidity, first leg strong momentum. Look how we chop up again, so choppy, so balanced. Perfect, man. Then momentum switches to the bear side. Strong push down, mitigation, fat rejection, strong push down. Okay, now we close below all these structure points here. But at that point, we already closed below this demand here. And sell side liquidity of news was up for grabs still. So I was like, yeah, man, I'm comfortable with taking this. I simply market executed here right away. And then we can see, let's zoom into the details here. There was no need to go break even. And I'm telling you why. Look what we do, okay? We break lower again, okay? So now it's interesting to see what does this demand do, okay? Because this, I mean, it's not really a demand, but it's a bullish fair value gap. This can be an inducement low here, this last low. So let's see what price does, okay? Price mitigates this, shoots up. So here can be a little bit of a concern at first, but we still have all these supplies on our favor. So this is if you go break even here, this is premature in my opinion. You have to let the supplies get mitigated and see if they do their job or not. If they don't do their job, okay, for example, if we spike up here and close here and then we trickle down super ugly, then it's a valid break even, okay, because these supplies do not do their job. But we have to find out if they do that job, and if it stops us out right away, then we are just wrong on the trade and we have to take the loss on the chin, okay? So, but in that case, we find out that we simply needed an inducement sweep for the sellers to regain control, okay? So ultimately this, if you want to see it as a demand, fails, okay? Fair value gap does not reverse price, only sweeps an inducement. Bears regain control, okay? So now we have this bottom demand here still. That was my ultimate target, okay? So I was simply going for that because I didn't want to get missed. I know that probably an additional target or an easier target would have been maybe here, but I was just feeling like this could rip down. I just had a feeling. So I just wanted to be in the trade and I just market executed right away. So now we have to overcome this demand, okay? So what do? We close lower after we sweep this, close lower, then super choppy, super balanced, out of session, we chop our way back up. Do we panic here? Do we go break even? No. If this comes up like this, with huge fair value gaps, okay, this maybe, especially when that fails here, is a reason to potentially go break even, you know? If we, like in the other example, if we shoot up here, I understand if you maybe, because it's out of session and it's late, that you just close it, okay? Or if we come up even higher and then retrace slowly and it suggests bull control, it's a valid break even, okay? But the way we come up here, so balanced, so ugly, so slow. What do? We sweep the top inducement, we are just mitigating the extreme here of this supply, we sell off again. Could have even swept this and then sell off again. We still have supplies here, so it's all good, all nice and dandy. We don't have any momentum to the upside, though. There's not really a valid reason to be super worried, okay? If you're wrong, but this is not a reason to go break even. So we do this, we mitigate the extreme here, and the bears take over again. Still choppy out of session, but the first momentum kicks in here. Then we do another inducement sweep of this, mitigating this demand, breaking lower, okay? And then ultimately it's always the same. Look, we inducement sweep, break lower, put some equals in here. Now we're almost at the target. What does price do? Come up again. And this is just supply versus demand, but we have the high time frame on our side, and this is what often overpowers the other side then. So here the supplies were stronger, and this happens to be a little more off. This happens a little more often than not because we have the high time frame sweep and picture with the OB here on our side. This is what brings this balance between supply and demand a little bit more into your favor, because you have that high time frame thing on your side, okay? So this again, inducement sweep, break lower, inducement sweep, break lower, TP hit. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Let's go to the next one. Oh, this one is so clean on the high time frame. So clean. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so here we have a nice little supply that serves as inducement so that we can tap this order block for the first time. So we sweep the supply, fully tapping into this order block with a fat 4-hour rejection. What do we do on the low time frame? So, okay, so London high is here. New York opens, super bullish. Obviously, that is a potential sell opportunity if we see the session opening bullish. It is probably not making its low right when it opens. It's a very nice confluence for price to potentially come back. This is also why I put my TP here. I thought this early in the session forming demand is probably a trap, okay? Because we just opened here. So we come up, we come up, we come up. We sweep this level. So look, you see on the 4-hour, you see the line, the horizontal line on both screens. This is where the 4-hour sweep happened, where the tap into the 4-hour order block for the first time happened, okay? And what do? Get a fat rejection right away, okay? Get our first leg, mitigation, second leg, okay? Clean momentum switch here, and we form a new trend line here, all these stacked lows. So now we are tapping into this extremely high demand. So this demand is weak because it's very high up. You see how the day was going, just bulls, okay? And this swept so much high time frame liquidity tapping into this order block. So this demand has a tough job to push price higher, okay? So I was waiting. We have that little inducement high here, okay? I was waiting. Price gets in there and rejects. Okay, so when I saw this bearish candle, I was again expecting price to sell off right away. I just entered. Price mitigated this again here, this supply, and then sold off. And then this was, all the trades here were like crazy in terms of how long they took to play out. I'm aware of that. It's not typical to my trading per se, but it just happened to happen all the time this session. But it was a nice practice. It was a nice practice. Let's see how many pips that was. Yeah, it was a decently sized stop loss. Not crazy big, not crazy small. It just happened to chop after the big move. So yeah, I entered the trade. We tap into the supply. And it's the same game here. Look at what the bulls are doing. The only thing where you can be validly worried is this, because this was a little bit of momentum, but this was still just Asia. Okay, so Asia shows bullish momentum, not ideal. Okay, we want to see the bears remain in control, obviously. But it's still Asia, man. Like, it's Asia. What is Asia, man? Asia is not gonna re-sweep such a massive sweep area. Normally, anything can happen always, but it's very unlikely. So here you can still just chill, okay? We are tapping into this extreme of the supply here. Okay, we fail to break, we have a strong push down. And then the bears take over control so hard that we don't even sweep Asia high. We leave Asia high here and just sell off in the other sessions. Actually, in end of London session, we already at TP. So complete bear control analysis was right. And yeah, just nice to see. It's just, I have to learn to read price this stoically when I'm in the trade, because I'm still taking too many break-evens because I'm too worried. Oh, it's not going, and it's supposed it's intra-session, blah, blah, blah. But I'm really learning now that in the right context, when you read the details in the low time frame, that it very often is just valid to hold trades out of session and just let it play out. And this was just such a nice example. This being in Asia and the whole context of the low time frame suggested that bears are still in control. Okay, so that's why I never went break even on it. So let's get into the next one. So I had another crazy win streak in this. Really, I'm feeling that this backtesting, doing backtesting again, I was already good at day trading. I feel like I took it to the next level. Like I really feel like I'm even better now. So here, high time frame. We tap into this order block. Not really a liquidity sweep here, just a tap into this order block here for the first time. So a logical potential reversal area. Normally I prefer it to sweep, but we did at least have a London sweep here. So this was London high, okay. And what does New York again? Opens hellish bullish, like crazy bullish, okay. So that invites us for that leaves the door open for potential sells, okay, like in the other example. So we come up, okay, and we always want to see both sides getting trapped, right? So here we sweep London, okay, and we are firstly closing in or tapping this order block here, fully closing this imbalance, tapping into the order block. So this is a nice shift, okay, first leg, second leg, but then we come up right away and rejecting after sweeping this inducement. So I was careful and I was honestly close, and I was considering an entry here after this candle. Bull candle, but rejects from the fair value gap. But I don't know, man, I just had a feeling. That it wasn't ready yet, because we didn't see a trap yet for the sellers. I love to see, and these are the best setups, is when you see both sides getting trapped. So the buyers are probably gonna get trapped because the session opened bullish right away. So this is how I see the buyer's trap being there without it having trapped the bears yet, the bullies yet, okay? So the buyer's trap is just generally the session opening bullish, okay? And this, to me, I really thought, man, it's technically just one clean leg and we didn't have any seller's trap yet. Let all the early birds get stopped out here better. This was still pre 10 p.m. So it was still a window in which a lot of traps can happen. And this is just next level experience. I don't want to sound like I think I'm the fucking greatest, but I'm proud of myself because I'm making progress. This is something that I would have taken last year any day of the week. And now I know, no, we don't have a seller's trap yet. So let's see what happens here. And if it sells off from here and I'm not a part of it, then I prove to be patient and disciplined, and then I have to be okay with it. But this time I was right. The experience proved to be valuable, okay? So we re-sweep this and then we get our proper shift. First leg, little base. Second leg, almost equals here. Ton of stacked. We stall here completely. And this is another thing that I just took by limit entry. I did not wait for confirmation here. We had this little inducement here, and I just took it by limit order because I was just confident enough. I didn't want to get missed. And to be honest, in hindsight, I could have waited easily for a confirmation. Possibly entered here, for example, after we get these new two little legs here. But I think I just didn't want to get missed and just entered here with limit. And it sold off right away. And realistically, probably in real life market, I would have just closed it here when I saw that it didn't fully hit TP. But in the end, it just had to mitigate these top fair value gaps and then sold off again. So my target here was this for me. Look, this was happening basically out of session. So London box closes here. Okay, and this is the low here. I just thought this was a trap, this demand, and it was. So okay, I finally found it. So let's look to the left. So we sweep this old high here. This is beautiful, actually. Let me just give this a little more attention here. So we sweep this old high. And for the first time, we properly mitigate this supply, okay? So this is very nice on the high time frame. Nice structure point swept, not just this little intermediate, but a proper level that stands out. So a lot of stop losses here, obviously. We take them all out. Now let's check the low time frame. So London high is here. it's the same again, man. We have New York open right here. First candle, what does New York do? Push up right away. Nothing else to do but a push up. So we trap all the sellers that tried to sell for this. To be fair, look, this London high already swept the high time frame liquidity. This already swept. Let me see. Just to verify. You see that? That is above the old structural high. So this already swept. Okay. So this was the perfect seller's trap for New York Open. Okay. New York Open traps all the sellers that sell from this valid supply that swept high time from liquidity. Okay. We sweep them. And now we have the buyer's trap as well because we opened straight away bullish. There's no way that this low is going to hold. Okay. So we come lower, stop all the buyers out right away. We put almost equals in here, and then we push up again to mitigate this top fair value gap. I wait for my rejections here. This is one where I don't see a second leg, but I took it anyway because of how we came up, and then just rejections, you know, this relatively balanced, only tiny fair value gaps, and this all balanced trend line forming and everything. This was just up for grabs. Obvious liquidity pool here, this inducement target here for this demand to get tapped into, okay? And just all mitigated here. No potential reversal area for price really. So we have a high time frame sweep, we have a seller's trap, we have a buyer's trap, we have a strong break of structure. Technically it's not even a break of structure because the structural low is here and we only wicked it. But you will understand what I mean. I think that this is a strong move after a session sweep, after a trap sweep. So we come up, we reject a 1,000 times here, and this is where I entered ultimately. We break, we make a bearish fair value gap right away. Price had to sweep this as the final inducement and then strongly break lower. From then we are just creating a little more of inducements. We tap into the supply again. So this is again, it's just, don't go break even here. Look at this price action, it's all balanced, okay? And it's all forming liquidity. This is equals here again, okay? Relative equals. Look at all these stacked lows here. So trust your analysis in that case. You still have a supply that has an inducement here, okay? And that also swept liquidity again, fully mitigating the top here. So this is a super valid supply. Let it play out. If you're wrong, take it on the chin. Don't take a stupid break even. Just let this mitigate the top, okay? And boom, in that case, this is what price needed to find the sellers to push lower, to finally take out all this low resistance liquidity. So here we push down like crazy, hit TP, we tap into this extreme demand, and this is again so satisfying to see. Price reverses right after, coming back to, not to the stop loss, but to my entry. So that is always cool to see. So we have one last trade. I know it's a long one. Let's get this over with. This is also very clean on the high time frame. But let's scroll over first. I think this was like early December. Here, okay. So let's see what happened here. Look at this inducement low here with a clean demand that swept an inducement. So this is a strong demand, sweeping inducement, breaking higher, okay, breaking higher with a nice inducement here. And this is all unmitigated. So we sweep this inducement, massive rejection. This is probably, yeah, this again, news. Always the same, man. It's just, man, I really think I'm so much better than last year because I'm waiting, I'm more patient, I'm waiting for traps. This makes such a difference, man. Okay, so we have the news candle here, already sweeping this, already mitigating this, okay? So last year I would have thought, okay, nice. This is probably gonna run away. Okay, now I know news liquidity is important. This is early in the session. So the session opens basically bearish, then we have the news push bearish, and then we get so the seller's trap is this again opening bearish, okay, with a strong bearish push. Now a lot of people are gonna think they can sell from here, okay, so this makes the longs more probable. But as you know, we have news liquidity here and we didn't have a buyer's trap yet. So this was a nice buyer's trap, strong push out candle closing above the previous structure. with a big fair value gap, high momentum, perfect trap to invite in all the buyers. Us having experience, we know better, we wait for the trap to play out, okay? We trap all the sellers again. You see how repetitive that is, you know? It's just, last year, all the losses I took, I realized, wait, this always stops me out in the same way. It's always like I'm one move too early. I'm always getting trapped, basically, and that's how I figured this stuff out, you know? So here, again, being patient, I was waiting for this to get reswept, and then we get a nice shift. This at the bottom looks a little ugly, but then we have a nice push out move here with momentum. This actually, I can't switch to the M15 because then it moves to the current date again, but this was a nice, clean fair value gap on the M15. Yeah, and obviously just the re-sweep here of the sweep, that is just beautiful on the high time frame, closing this fair value gap here, just beautiful stuff. And seeing how it chops down, you know, we are strong up after a buyer's trap, strong up. And then we chop down again, and after these little rejections, I was waiting again for confirmation. Sometimes, obviously, something like that can spike away and you miss the trade because you wait too long. But in this session, it was working nicely. We have this little rejections, we have price pausing. We have also, what I like, we have this little fair value gap here for the bears. But we have tiny candles just chilling there, like just closing in there even. That tells me that the sellers are completely run out of steam after this move and the resweep. Which makes again sense and makes so much sense with the high time frame. So I was confident taking this market execution, okay? Become a little lower, resweep here as an inducement, and we never looked back, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this was another one. Just hold it and let it play out. We have a valid demand sitting here that swept a ton of liquidity, okay? So let's let it play out. We formed bullish structure, closed higher, and then we came very close to TP. I think in real life maybe I would have closed after it seeing doing a rejection here, but who knows. But ultimately we were just mitigating the extremes again, okay? So here you see that, right? We have this demand, swept liquidity, push out, okay? Almost to TP. We come back to the extreme, mitigate this here, start bullish order flow once more. Then we come back, where do we go? Ultimate inducement here, we tap into the extreme, we keep control, and this ultimately with news. Hit take profit. What did it do? Swept this as inducement, you see that? All this swept and sells off completely again. Okay, so that's it. That's all the trades. I know it was a long one, but the details here matter, and I hope, or I'm confident that you took something away from this. Please leave me feedback how to do these videos, maybe even better. I think this was a good one, but I'm obviously willing to learn, and I'm still a beginner in doing YouTube, and I want to learn, so please leave me the feedback. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate you watching this to the end. Drop a like and a comment if you finished this. Commenting that you finished, I'm curious how many of you actually take the effort to watching this fully. And yeah, with that I send you off. I hope I see you in the next one. Take care, have a great day, peace out.